Kemper has come out with a brand new product, the Kemper Profiler Player. Now, I've had this for a week or two now. I've already gigged with it. Let me tell you what I think about it so far. So the prodigal son returns. I never really gave up on the Kemper, although my powered head definitely kind of got relegated to the studio. I really use the quad cortex for the most part live now, but the Kemper Player has me rethinking things. Now, I want to share some opinions with you. Just keep in mind these are my opinions. Don't destroy me in the comments, please. So I'll share a couple of real positives before I show some sound demos, and then we'll get into the negatives. The first thing that I love about this is the size. I think that's a reasonable thing to notice about it. It's small enough so that it fits in the front side of my mono gig bag, which is great for taking it places. That's actually a really big level up considering that I had to use the mono tick to fit my quad cortex, and now I've actually got like an external thing for the quad cortex. So this fitting in the front pocket is awesome. And it also shows the Kemper was listening. You know, I know a lot of people in the Kemper community were talking about how just a amp loader that fits on the pedal board would be the answer to everybody's problem right now with the Kemper. I think a lot of people think that the Kemper is still a little antiquated here and there, or at least they're not giving it the full consideration of where modeling tech is right now for guitar players. So seeing what they did with this, it makes me feel glad to know the Kemper's listening to the players. The next positive is the fact that there are 3 buttons on this pedal. I think they could have gotten away with 2 if it was just like a amp advance or an amp go back, you know, like cycle through. The fact is you could assign a new amp to each of these 3. I can't imagine a situation where maybe I need to use more than 3 amps in a specific song. These are also all programmable, so you can change one to activate the mute and tuner. You can use one to activate a specific effect. I'll be honest, I haven't really dug into the Profiler effects just yet, for a couple reasons. I mean, this goes on a pedal board. The pedal board has the other effects. At least that's the way that I'm going to be using it. I'm also pretty familiar with the sound of the Kemper effects from my other Kemper. So next, I really like that they're marketing this towards the acoustic guitar and bass player market as well as electric guitar players. It makes me just think of this as like a really versatile piece of technology, really good to have in the arsenal. I've always really liked the sound of the Noble's bass DI, if you guys are familiar with that. I know we don't have as many bass players in here as guitar players, but I have a profile of a Noble's bass DI, which is like a tube preamp for bass players. A lot of pros use them. And you know, those are expensive, so it's like, it's nice to know that this I could put at the end of a bass pedal board and just go XLR out to front of house, mono, it's totally fine. And I just took this on its maiden voyage as an acoustic guitar player, playing with this artist named Haley Dries at the NAMM show. I just told them give me 1 XLR cable, I plugged it right in, I had a tuner, I had a reverb, and then I used one of those BM acoustic profiles that come as stock on this pedal. And then last, it's cool that they still just included a headphone output on this. They probably didn't need to, but I understand where they're going with that. Still a convenience. So I'm going to plug this in directly to my interface. I'm coming out of the stereo 1/4-inch jacks. It's going directly into my interface with no external processing. This is the default sound that you get when you plug in the Kemper. I personally was pretty hooked by this. I probably spent 15 minutes on this tone alone. This is the BM acoustic profile that I used at the NAMM show when I performed with Haley Dries. This is the Mashless HC30 from 60 Cycle Sounds. And then this is one of my favorite profiles. It's the Tubrock Bloomfield Studio, which you can get on another one of my videos for free. I'll kind of put that up here. So let's talk about some of the early negatives I have with this. Again, these are just my opinions, but I do think that it's a little unfortunate that it didn't come with a screen. I get it. I get why, the screen would probably make it a little bit more expensive. It would be nice to have a screen on here, or at least something that kind of indicates, maybe like a small little scribble strip saying what's on there. I don't want to necessarily have to rely on the app for everything, or at least I'd like to think that I could set the app up and know exactly what's happening during the show. Like, I don't necessarily feel like there would be a gig that comes about where I am not using the app to at least double check that I'm on the right thing here. So another con is that there's one XLR out, which is a little bizarre. There are two outputs that are 1/4 inch size, but the one XLR output doesn't make a ton of sense to me. The fact is they have stereo reverbs, they have stereo chorus, tremolo effects. Alright, so the next is MIDI over USB. I haven't really found a USB connector that is reliable enough to potentially be like sticking out the back of a pedal board. Hopefully you're tucking it away and you're trying to make it as strong as possible, but it just seems like a strange choice. The Eventide H9 has their MIDI on the side here or over here. It could have been the 5-pin connector MIDI. I don't see why they did MIDI over USB. So when it comes to power, Kemper actually hasn't revealed how much power draw this takes just yet. It comes with a power supply. The power supply is right here. And the power supply does say 9 volts to 12 volts at 24 watts. But that is a lot of power draw. Especially for something that's going on people's pedal boards, there actually isn't really a commercial option that gives that 24 watts that isn't like excessive. So the question is, how much does it actually draw? And I was able to power it up using a Chox DC7, and then I used a single voltage doubler cable. Some of you in the Quad Cortex world might have, had the experience of putting all of these together, and you chain up this kind of absurd tree of 4 outputs. They deliver 3 amps of power to the one outlet here, so that will power your Quad Cortex for a pedal board. But 24 watts, that's a lot of power, and I don't want to be having to carry this around with a pedal board. So we'll see how that kind of develops. I still need to get that figured out for my own personal pedal board that I'm going to build. Another unfortunate complaint, and kind of the long-standing complaint, is that the Rig Manager and the Rig Manager app still just aren't totally up to snuff. Specifically, the one on the desktop is still like a challenge. It's always been a challenge. I don't know if it'll ever not be a challenge. But for someone who is constantly working in Rig Manager, I definitely can voice a lot more frustration than I am here. And so knowing that this relies on the app so much is a little bit of a bummer. And I really hope that, maybe they'll improve it over the, next coming months. And then the last thing is that the build quality is great, but it's not as great as it looks. This looks like a spectacular pedal, but at the same time, check this out. Like, what is that? Why is that clicking on the side? I just recently noticed right before I started filming that this whole panel here is actually a sticker. And so it's already kind of starting to slide off. Oh, I probably shouldn't show you guys my serial number, huh? But it's already starting to slide off the sides here. The rubber feet are getting in the way. I'll have to take those off. For being kind of an expensive amp model or pedal, could have been better. Now, I'm just commenting on my own experience with this so far. Maybe you're not going to use it in the same ways that I'm going to be using it. But for a company like Kemper, who I know from experience likes to make hardware that they never really iterate on, which is fine. I mean, it's kind of preferred. I'm glad that we don't have a Kemper 2 just yet. This format is going to be with us for a while. The last one has been with us for almost 12 years now, or 12 years. So I really just hope that, the software updates that Kemper is able to push will get us closer to the, final product that we've all paid for with this. So those are my first impressions of the Kemper Player. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to be using it more and more. I actually have some ideas on some other ways to use this in the future that I'm excited to tell you about. I am going to be doing a live pedal board build with this, incorporating it into a two-tiered pedal board. I'm shooting for February 18th. I'm just waiting for a couple of other doodads and stuff to show up before I can confirm that. But that's probably going to be when it happens. I'll give away some free Kemper packs. We'll have a good time. But be sure to subscribe to get notified. I'll probably drop a YouTube short to let you know when exactly it'll happen. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Daniel McLaughlin. I'll see you guys in the next one.